appeared to 3 men of the cloth as they sat around a table preparing for next Sunday's solemnity. The devil, with bravado and charm, looked deep in the eyes of the 3 men and addressed them. If I gave you the power to change something in the past, what would you change? The first of them, a bishop, with great apostolic fervor, replied, I would like to prevent you from leading Adam and Eve to sin, so that humanity never separates from God. The devil with a bent grin put a finger to his chin and provided the smallest of nods. The second, a pious priest, a man full of mercy, looked to the devil and spoke, I would use such a power to prevent you and your minions of evil from straying from God, preventing being cast out of heaven. In doing so your oversight of the diabolical on man would never be. The devil again nodded his head, but remained silent except for an evil, but brief, chuckle. The devil, with slow and deliberate intent then moved on to the last man. The third of them, a deacon, was the simplest of the 3. He refused to look at the devil, averting his eyes and tuning his head away from the adversary before him. Instead of answering the tempter, he pulled his chair from the table and knelt down in front of the trio. With hands folded in prayer he bowed his head and began to pray, O Lord, my Father in heaven, deliver me from the temptation of what might have been, what was not, and what cannot be. The devil let out a reckoning, screaming and trembling, tormented and writhing with pain, he burst into a cloud of sulfur and ash, and in an instant he was no more. The bishop and the priest looked first at each other awe and surprise, and then to the humble deacon. It was the bishop who spoke, Brother, why did the Satan react to you like this? The deacon stood and presented himself before both men, he answered them, Your Eminence, first, we should never converse to the enemy. Secondly, no one in the world has the power to change the past. The bishop agreed with the deacon and bowed his head in shame. The deacon then turned to address the priest. Third, spoke the deacon, Satan's interest was not to prove our virtue, but to trap us in the past, so that we neglect the present, the only time God gives us His grace and we can cooperate with Him to fulfill His will. The priest knew the deacon was right as he shed a tear from his eye. The deacon then took his seat at the table and continued to address his fellow clergy, of all the demons, the one that most holds men back and prevents them from being happy is the, what could have been and was not, demon. We must remember that the past is left to the mercy of God, and the future to His providence. Only the present is in our hands. There is no past, and there can be no future without the present. There is only the now. We are to be mindful and in the moment, and in knowing this, we are reminded that today, at this present moment, loving God with all our heart is not only our duty, our right, but His commandment. For as His Son taught and commands us to love God, the Father, with all our heart. Do this and the devil flees.